Hi, welcome back to Iris After Hours. We're so excited.
Yes, so good to have you guys with us because we have our ILAFAM School Art Track leaders, Victor and Diana Atkins, here with us in the studio today. Guys, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
We're excited to be here.
Now, Victor and Diana are phenomenal. They are amazing artists in their own right. Have been doing art for years and years and they're young fillies. Well, they've moved over from Philly. They've moved over from Philadelphia just like 9 months ago.
Nine and a half months.
Yeah. Calling of the Lord, uprooted themselves and moved here to Los Angeles, and not knowing what God was calling them to do, they run a studio. God's called them into this beautiful studio that's just around the corner, and they are here, and the miracles came together, and they've come on board as our leaders for the first time, a fourth track in our ILAFAM school, doing painting. Whoa! So we are so excited to have you guys here.
As we are, it's really an honor, and we're just excited to be the next extension of the Iris Los Angeles family.
Come on, yes, that's what it is. ILA family.
Yeah.
So listen, I've got the first question because this is burning
good.
on my tongue. I hear a rumor that somebody is making clothes out of your paintings, Victor. Is this true?
That's true. A good friend, and her name is Carmelita. She has a business called Carmelita Couture. Has done a line. It's already done. I've done a line of couture clothing, as well as T-shirts and sweatshirts that are based on 7 different paintings that I've done, and those are pretty
beautiful.
awesome. Yeah.
Just
gosh,
was that a surprise?
No, initially, well, let me rephrase that. Yes. She sent me an email and said, would you send me some images? And I didn't know what the images were for. Absolutely. So I sent the images, and then she sent me back sort of sketches of this clothing. And I said, what? And so she explained that she had this line of couture clothing and T-shirts that she wanted to do, and she had dreams of also coming to LA. She was a fellow Philly person.
Come on, young Philly, another young Philly.
Another young Philly, and where a lot of us came here. Be careful.
Come on, who won the Super Bowl?
That's
Did you see the Super Bowl this year?
Yes.
Philly went
Super Bowl.
Are
crazy.
you kidding? Yes.
We watched it at our house. We were there with these young Phillies watching their team. It was unbelievable. And that quarterback, man, he's a full-on believer. And like half the team are praying and like in the Lord. It was like...
Yeah, they do Bible studies. And it's rather an amazing team.
Yeah, for those of you international, the Super Bowl is like, it's the North American football grand final, basically.
Yeah.
And it's amazing for you non-Americans out there.
So anyway, with the clothing, it was again an amazing honor, an amazing blessing, and so there's a group showing at the end of this month, and some of our paintings and the clothing will be shown there. So
where is this?
This is on Melrose, at the 8,000 block of Melrose. It's called Luz Gallery, Luz, which I think means light in Swiss.
Light.
In Swiss.
Yeah.
And a fellow Iris Los Angeles family member, Matt, has done a mural inside, which is quite beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we're converging.
I know, that was crazy. And you didn't even know that. Matt didn't even know it was about you, and you didn't know Matt. I don't think
it's
you even
really
knew
interesting.
No,
we introduced them after the fact.
Yeah, we actually met later at one of the dinners.
Yeah.
Oh, it's exciting. Gosh. Can you talk to us a bit about your journey to LA? Is this move something you anticipated for a long time? Was it kind of a curveball?
Was it a suddenly?
It depends on which one of us you talk to. Because Victor had been hinting about LA. He'd been hinting about that he felt the Lord wanted us to move. But he was saying either back to New York or out to LA. And
right, because you are New Yorkers.
Originally we were from New York.
We're calling the young Phillies, but you're really New Yorkers.
Yeah, that's where our history was. So, and
New York City?
Yeah, New York City. We used to live in Tribeca for a while.
No way.
Yeah. So I did not want to come. The thought of LA was just, nah. And but he every now and then would mention it, and then it turned out that our friend we had just talked about, who's the fashion designer, she felt like she was being called to LA, and Victor had mentioned it to her. So she said, well, I would like to gift you guys with a trip on me so that you can come, we can all go together and get a sense of things.
You have to understand that I actually had a word from the Lord a year and a half before all of this conversation. And I've learned with Diana that she has to hear from him. I can't say, listen, the Lord said we need to be in LA. And she'll say something really astute like, he didn't tell me.
Right.
Sounds like my wife.
Not taking your word for it.
And we'll fight for months because I want to be obedient and she wants to get her confirmation. Yeah. So we waited for a year and a half until this opportunity came up. But I felt convicted that we needed to be here. Then I heard a very clear, that inner audible voice that this is where we need to be, and absolutely no information as to why. It's just you need to get up and go. I want you.
Like an Abrahamic calling.
Yeah, it's leave your land, leave your family, and leave your father's house. So,
yeah.
I was good with that. I'm easy. Yes, but Diana needed lots of confirmation.
Yeah, so was my wife.
Which you got?
Oh my goodness.
Really?
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
He's faithful.
He's so faithful. Yeah. And he does it in such a way that he not only gives you confirmation, but he also kind of changes your heart.
Yeah.
Because
Same thing happened with Sarah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, when we came out during that trip, the first number of days, it was really, I hated every minute of it. I'll be honest.
That was like my wife coming to LA in the traffic. Why is God calling us?
So we spent 6 days in traffic. Yeah, and it was I don't know. So the night before we were supposed to leave, I was on the floor of the motel bathroom, and I was talking to God, saying, "Listen, I'll come, but you're gonna have to make it so clear to my heart, because this is a big thing. We're leaving our grandkids, we're leaving our families, we're leaving the land, because he knows my relationship to the land."
Yeah.
And
yeah, that's important.
I said, you have to make it so clear to my heart. And then one thing after the other, after another, he brought people into, met us that day before we were going to leave, that started speaking into the whole creative world that's out here that's really unique. And everywhere we went, there were people. Victor heard this conversation behind us where there was this really diverse group of people, and they were all talking about their painting, and it was just whoa. And the person that he brought into our lives that day, she started talking to me about the whole art scene, but in a way that sort of brought a lot of clarity about what I believe the Lord's been asking me to do.
Yeah.
So, but I was still really scared. And even when we left that day, you want me to tell the whole story? Or yeah.
Just kick me when you want me to tell.
I was still well, I don't know. And then not long after, we were supposed to go to a baby shower when we were back in Philly. And I wasn't feeling well, so we stayed home. And then Victor turned on the TV, and we were watching the Free Pursuit, which is out of Mechanicsburg. It was a global conference.
Yeah, it's the pursuits that Will Hart ran.
Yeah.
So it was a prophetic conference, and Will was there and a few other people, but Stacey Campbell was speaking.
Yeah.
So we were watching, and she was speaking, and then she kind of stopped speaking and said, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I feel like I should say that I was just in Southern California, and the Spirit of the Lord is so heavily there that I told Wesley we're going to move there. And evidently they've lived in Canada forever.
Yeah.
And she had absolutely no intention of leaving Canada.
Yeah.
So I don't know if she's actually moved.
She had moved, right.
So
right before
you guys
that
would
conference.
know because you know better whether she moved here or not. But that,
she's here,
yeah. So then she walks a little bit closer and points at the camera, and she says, and you can tell this part because it really hit you hard.
Yeah. Well, she looks into the camera and she says, and I believe there's a couple out there and you're thinking that you're too old. You're thinking
What?
it makes no sense. You're thinking about leaving your grandkids. You're thinking about leaving your families. But if you come, there will be such a blessing for generations on your family. I was like, and I was like,
Wow.
I was on the floor. I was
That's
on the
nuts.
floor, and I felt, okay, God, that's it. And in that moment, it was like, okay. And everything. It was hard,
That
but
was for you.
Yeah.
He stopped Stacey Campbell at
Yeah.
a conference from a live stream
yeah,
just to talk to you through your
that's
television.
insane.
Room.
Yeah,
And
That's insane.
yeah,
and then so
Yeah.
she had her confirmation and revelation. That
Yeah.
was always a prayer. Don't just give her confirmation, just give her revelation.
Come on. It's good
So
praying like that.
then we heard, God started giving us strategies, and
Yeah.
we had like $5 in the bank, and he
I
said,
love hearing coming to LA stories.
Yeah.
They're so good.
and we started adding up, renting the truck and doing this and the Airbnbs, and it came up to just a little over $20,000. So of course he said, go, we want to renew our vows, and said, go renew your vows, but make it a fundraiser, which was a bizarre
It's like,
concept.
what?
Who does that? But we did that, and the church, and we had a lot of spiritual kids. There's about
Yeah.
30 of them.
Yeah, you had a whole community.
Oh,
there.
my goodness,
You were
yeah.
pastoring it.
We were
Mum and
pastors,
Papa
and we were mom and
Yeah.
dad, and
The
so they
best
came
people
around
in the
this,
Young
world.
people.
Yeah.
and they just said, "Stay home. We're going to do everything. And
We'll take care of it all.
We can't. You can't do it." So you can bring a cake. So they let us bring a cake, but they decorated it. So they decorated the whole church. They set up music. They just did the whole thing. It was a wonderful thing. We wanted to come here unto the Lord. We were married in 1990. But we were hippies.
You
Little
and you were
new
married
age.
by who? Some
A
spiritual
spiritual friend.
Spiritual Chandler, yeah.
spiritual channel. Married them in 1990.
So
This is BC, hey?
You could
Yes.
probably guess we didn't know the Lord then. But coming here, and feeling, well, okay, we're both a yes, that we want to come under the covenant of marriage unto the Lord.
Yeah.
So he started giving us very real strategies to sell everything.
Sell everything.
Except what you absolutely need and what you love. So we came here with a truck full of paintings,
Studio
a
stuff.
couch,
Yeah.
a very bad mattress.
When not worth bringing.
Yeah, really.
Well, we needed it. That wasn't on the low part.
Yeah.
Oh, that was on the need part.
and a few kitchen things. And so we went from $5 to $25,000 in 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And so we sold a lot of art.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
Praise God, and just all of our stuff, and the money just kept multiplying, and none of it made sense because that's just God.
Yeah.
For the amount of stuff we sold, and going over it in retrospect, doing taxes, it doesn't add up how much came in and how much was
Taxes.
actually given. So there's money multiplied in there.
Thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
So we did. We actually gave notice before
We had a home.
we
Yeah.
had a house. I had come to look for a place. So we had 30 days to get out, or we were going to be evicted.
Oh.
Come on. One-way ticket.
And you got out.
I flew out in May
Wow.
and came for 10 days, and because God has a sense of humor, on the 10th day, I found a place.
Amazing.
It was the very first place we looked at.
And now you guys have an art studio, painting studio. It's huge,
Yeah.
bigger than you anticipated.
Now that's separate from the house.
Right. This is now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you lived somewhere else at first.
Right.
Yeah.
And you want to talk with them?
Oh yeah, when we thought, well, when we were moving here, since it's so expensive, we would either try getting a small house and then a separate studio, but that was really expensive. And we ended up getting a slightly bigger house and figuring that we'd make one of the bedrooms into a studio. But since Victor paints the size of
Huge.
Should
walls,
have bought one in for a backdrop today.
yeah, for the
Yeah.
that really wasn't working out very well.
Yeah.
And I tried putting my easel in my office, and it was just like tripping over things. And we tried that for a while, but then the Lord, we both felt at the same time that the Lord released us to look for a separate studio. We had no idea how we would do that, But and we started by looking, and we looked at a place, and our prayer has always been, if it's from you, God, keep the doors open and keep the doors closed for anything you don't want us to walk through. And
Good prayer.
yeah,
I like that.
And he did that. The first place that we actually put an application in, he made it really clear that wasn't the right place to go in. And then the second place, we were new to Pasadena, so we didn't know. And so we saw this cool looking space in the listing, and we followed the directions to get there, and it was up an alley. And as we're driving up the alley, we see this sign on the side of the building. Does that say what I think it says? It was the back of Pie Hop.
And Pasadena International House of Prayer.
And so we started realizing that the studio that we were about to look at was directly above their office space. And we're like, this is crazy. So, and through a whole series of events, the Lord made that place available. And now it's just like, we're just blown out of the water. Just blown out of the water.
It's amazing. And are you both abstract painters?
Mm-mm.
No, you're not.
No.
You.
My paintings are abstract, even more so now, and Diana's more
Much
nature
more
driven.
nature driven, more realistic. Yeah.
Yeah.
For now, we'll see where he heads.
And now the connection with the ILAFAM and you coming on board with that's pretty crazy too.
Yeah.
Because we met you at E58 or at our house.
No, I went to a birthday
that's
party
right, the birthday
for
party,
Norma
yeah.
That's
Fontana.
right. Yes.
And your wife was there. Now years ago, you guys had a school in Atlanta, and there was no fine arts track. And I was interested in going, and I was very, very disappointed that there was no fine arts track. So I'm at this dinner, this woman that I just met, and Sarah was sitting right across from me. And this is what I'm a painter, and we're just kind of finding out who we are and hearing our stories. And she's telling me what you guys do. And well, I'm really excited that that's here in LA, but I told her I was mad at her. And she said, what do you mean you're mad at me? You just met me. And I said, no. And then I explained that I saw about the school and there's no fine arts track. And I just left it. Now, we were still in this house with bedrooms with no idea that we would have a studio. And she said, no, we've been praying about that, but we just don't have the space. And it's just wasn't in the cards right then. So we just left it there. So then this came up and with the studio, and God released the studio, and we thought, well, that would just be a place where you guys can come and you would bring your people, and
awesome.
we'd just be happy to rent it to you. And so Nathan came up, and because he's not an enthusiastic guy, was just like, wow, the space was big, and he loved the art, and he just went with the assumption that we were going to teach, which was a dream of ours, but we didn't want to. Through this, our whole journey with God is the only word that we've had from him was just show up. We've never had any grand vision other than we need to be here and we need to show up because he's doing stuff. And it's Psalm 119 where he's a lamp unto your feet and unto your path. He's always been in this journey. He's been unto our feet. Yeah. It's been one step. So. We have a heart to teach. We've been both long-time professionals. It made sense, but we didn't want to impose ourselves on what is a family that we've been invited to and so blessed by. And so you guys saw the work, and then, you saw it first, and then you brought Sarah and the boys over, and you loved it, but said, let's pray about it, and let's pray about all this. And there was this big rush to get things done if we were going to do it because the website had been stalled.
Yes.
That's right, yeah.
So we had to, so we were praying about it. And then Sean Bowles has his Imagine conference here in LA. And we're there. We're part of the prophetic team. And then all of a sudden, Victor gets called out and Diana gets called out this is in the Angeles Temple that Amy Semple McPherson built during the Depression. The biggest impossible construction during the Great Depression.
It was the first dome, too.
First dome. And the architect said, it's impossible, we cannot build this. Amy said, build it. God gave me this plan. It's possible, build it. Crazy story. Anyway, we're there in God's house and you guys, in front of thousands of people, get called out. And we go, there's our confirmation God right there. And what did Sean say? What was he saying about you guys?
Well, my middle name is Bennett. And I've never been a fan of my middle name.
Oh, I like it.
And it is.
I don't put it
classic.
on anything. And I don't tell anybody about it. And so Sean, it's almost the very end of the conference, and he said, "Does Victor Bennett mean anything to anybody?" And
No.
I'm just
I can't claim Bennett, so no.
So I it's like, okay, here we go, Lord.
Wow.
So I just, and he goes, "Oh, it's our Victor." And so, I've had conversations just to say hello, and he recognizes us at Expression 58. And then he went on to say, "But the Lord has hidden your identity from me. I didn't know your name." And then he went on to talk, "Does the word zeal, heart mean anything to you?" And I went, and all my brilliance went, "No." and then his son, he played with some humor, but I really said it's about Diana. So he spoke a little bit into her heart and the promises on her life, and then he spoke the greater word into us that the Lord said that we were Renaissance artists, and that we were here for our own work, to release our own work and to do an impact on what the voice is in the marketplace now, but also to equip young artists, to release young artists into the freedom and the authenticity of their own story.
Yes.
So
and we were listening, we were in the audience listening, going, "No way."
I know.
And it was so specific and so accurate. And the good word was, this is not a 10-year word. This is a now word.
Yeah.
You're not going to have to wait 10 years or 20 years to see the power of God move through the arts. And so it was just, we were excited but somewhat stunned.
Dazed.
Yeah. And
it was also, the other part of that word was about the fact that, because of our obedience to come here, it was the only place that, we would be able to do what he wants us to do, and to be seen and recognized for those things. So it was like,
yeah, I mean, what he said specifically is God called us here, because it could not be done there.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
What the Lord had planned for us could not be done there. So he called us here because this is where he wanted to have.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was just very, very specific.
I understand the zeal heart word.
Yeah.
That's you.
It's both of us.
You have a zeal heart.
Yeah.
You
Thank
honestly
you.
do.
Thank you.
Like, just getting to know you with our men's group. We run the men's group here every Wednesday morning, and just your heart is full of zeal. You do have a zeal heart. That's a word for you, Victor, for sure.
Well,
I see it. You manifest it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially when he's mentoring and when he's speaking to people's lives. It's like, whoa.
He's been praying over us and bringing words in the group and stuff. And it's definitely,
Yeah.
I would love to hear about some of your vision for the art track coming up. And just to make it really clear for listeners, this is our second ILAFAM school, which stands for, now it's a little different, Iris Los Angeles,
film,
acting, art,
And music.
and music.
ILAFAM.
Fam. Yeah, the A got longer because of these guys.
Come on.
And you were running.
This crazy stuff. You was telling me about stuff they're going to do today. It sounds unbelievable.
Yeah, I would love
It's
listeners to
very
hear
exciting.
this.
Yeah.
So you were running the fine arts track in the school.
So if you're an artist or you know artists or you want to develop your art or get in community with art, come, guys.
Decades of experience.
Yeah, so we're focusing on painting for this go around, and some drawing. The two go hand in hand, but essentially the heart is we want to have some fun. We want to have some fun.
Yeah.
We want to plug into the notion that this is a family. We've truly experienced dynamic and wonderful family here at Expression 58, and more so with the Iris family. It's just everybody's been so welcoming, and we want to bring that into the track. But the heart of the track is really about always the plumb line with the Lord. But what we want to do is we want to kind of break kind of what we feel is a myopic vision that people of faith have as painters.
And what does myopic mean for some people?
It's single vision.
Yeah,
and
right.
what I mean by that, if you look at what happens in the secular world, and we've been in both worlds, we're about 10.
As artists. Yeah.
As artists, we're about 10, 11 years old now in the Lord.
Come on, Jesus. That's another great story.
But in the secular world of painting, there's full freedom from the absolute absurd to the absolute divine. But in our walk as artists who are Christians, and I say that specifically in that way, we allow ourselves only to paint symbols that we talk to each other about, that we know. We know the sheep, we know the lion, we know these things. It's almost like stock images that we rely on to speak to each other, but the world doesn't understand it. They don't know what we're talking about. We're speaking Chinese to a world that only speaks French.
Yeah. Or they may think they know what we're talking about. That's the other thing.
And it's an assumption,
And it creates persecution and about just the notion of what a Christian artist is.
Yeah.
And that's why I say an artist is a Christian. So, but I believe that if we, this comes from Heidi, is that if we have our hand in the hand of the Lord now, that we have full range to tell our story.
Wow.
As long as it's based in the heart of Jesus. That, I'm not saying that every painting that's done at the front of a prophetic stage should be dark or disturbing, but I think an artist, if that's where they are at this point, I know there's at least 50 people out there who are suffering with something that person's story. And so we want to encourage people to manage the full story, the full testimony, and to develop the craft that requires. But we don't want to beat people over the head with stuff. We want to find certainly some pretty straightforward technical things that they can do, but mostly it's about having a fun experience to really explore what your testimony is, and to do it as individuals and to do it as a family.
And a lot of it is really to get people to align with the childlike quality that most all art stems from. There's a freedom when you're a kid, to step into whatever the Lord is speaking to you about and however he's speaking to you. And I think that's what's exciting for both of us, is the idea of like helping people find their most authentic voice as it's the Lord moving through them. Because it's not the same for everybody. He doesn't need, he wouldn't have made millions of us. He needs all billions of us to express even a portion of his manifest beauty.
Exactly.
So, what would it look like if all the sons and daughters would be revealed, in their creative voice? That's, I think, is extraordinary. So a lot of the process that we're going to do is going to be exploring and getting people into a place of freedom again. And with that, in conjunction with everything else that the school is going to be doing, the prayer time, it's going to be such an opening, to freedom and a fresh perspective on how the Lord's moving in their creative world. So that's really exciting.
And also they'll be working on their technical skills a lot as well.
A lot of this will require that. And we have some fun visions of things to do that are outside of what the notion of art school looks like. And so it requires some skill. I mean, you don't have to be the next Da Vinci, but we want to take you where you are, and we want you to leave knowing a few things. That what you've learned here, you can carry for the rest of your life. You can continue to build on it, and to know that now you're part of a family. Like that, I can't over express that as a community of artists are isolated people. They're people who spend time alone in a studio, and then they'll go out socially. But what does it look like to be part of a community that loves God and honors art as a viable and not even more so an important voice and look at how
an
God
expression.
and the freedom of expression. What does it look like to feel like I can paint my story, or I can write my story, or I can sing my story with, again, with my hand in his hand, and knowing the passionate relationship, the intimate relationship that we talked about this morning with the Lord. And then people will understand us. When we tell our real story, people in church will understand us, and people outside the four walls of church who really need to hear our story will begin to understand us, and will begin to break this lie that we don't know how to paint, that we don't know how to sing, that we don't know how to make movies. And I feel like this is what this school is doing, because if you read through the descriptions of all the tracks, the single word that I noticed that comes right through every synopsis is authenticity. That there is the look for the authentic, thank you, sorry, voice of the artist, whether you're an actor, whether you're a filmmaker, whether you're a musician. People want to hear your real story. I think people are really tired of the repeated, I expected that story.
Well, when it's authentic and it's coming from your own personal experience, it can't help but touch anyone who sees it.
There's a resonance, isn't there? It resonates with people.
Yeah. It's speaking about our humanity in relation to God, and that's like this wonderful opening, a wonderful opportunity for anyone to be touched, because it's speaking about the human condition, and it's leaving an opening to, well, how does that, where does God come into this picture? Because his presence is going to be manifest.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's some of the things you're going to do is crazy. You're telling me over lunch. You're going to do this thing. They're going to get like 10 easels, and with blank canvases, and so in 2-minute increments, you start 10 artists, and they're going to start the painting, and then they've got to switch to the next painting, and so the next person goes to the next painting, and then they switch again until they get back to their own artwork, and then it's finished.
If I had any experience painting, I would be in this track, but
I
don't.
I would love to take this track.
I would love to take this track.
Tell us about the self-portrait.
So we're going to ask people to do 2 finished pieces, because on the final week is an exhibition week, right?
Yeah.
So we want you to complete 2 finished pieces. One piece will be based on, we've asked people to read a collection of poems by Walt Whitman, and we'll build a story from that also will be a collective story. But the other final piece, which we think is the important piece, we're going to ask people to do a self-portrait, but as Jesus sees them. And with no mirrors and no photographs. You have to really go deep, that deep to leap thing.
Oh,
you really have to go deep.
If you want to leap, you got to go deep.
To kind of be honest. Let's see the honest picture of what your relationship with Jesus. So we can hold hands with you and pray with you, and in this final week celebrate with you, and celebrate the way that God sees you, and so on. So there's some fun things and other plans that we have that will keep it a surprise.
It's exciting.
Come on.
Yes.
You get an easel. You get your own easel.
Yeah.
If you are a painter, if you have this, and it can range from experience, from those with some experience to a lot of experience in painting and drawing.
Just a desire. You need the desire.
Definitely check it out. Come.
6
so
weeks.
Exciting.
So the ILAFAM school is 6 weeks long, and we are going to go deep in family and exploring, and deep with God, and deep in your skills as an artist. And so if you're an actor as well, we're doing that with an acting track. We've got filmmaking and songwriting in the music track. So it's going to be, and then Victor and Diana with painting and
arts
drawing.
track first, and that's our first time doing that. So it's extra exciting.
We're very excited.
Yeah.
So June 4th it starts.
Yes.
This year, 2018, June 4th, and then it runs through to July 13th.
We need to get this podcast out.
Yes.
And your life will be changed. I mean, this is a life-changing experience. If you're an artist of faith, you need to be here.
Yeah.
The Bible says there's no more excuses. There's no excuses not to be here.
Yeah. And we're building community here too, so it's ongoing after the school finishes. If people stay around or whatever, there's still stuff happening.
Yeah.
We're not just like, it's just not all about the school. We're about being here in this city and continuing to create with God and with family.
Yeah. That's very exciting.
It's awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to ask the questions.
We are. Yep. We have some final questions for you guys.
Okay.
Hope you're ready.
We're ready.
Do you have a favorite movie?
I do.
Yes.
It's called The Double Life of Veronique.
Yeah.
The Double Life of Veronique.
Yes, and it's
French?
he's Polish, but he had a heart for France, and it's made by a filmmaker called Krzysztof Kozłowski, and it's a very painterly film. There's a vocal narrative, but it's really more driven by a visual narrative, and it's just a beautiful. You have to go for a journey, sensitive film, and I won't tell you too much about it, but go see it. But
Double Life
of Veronique.
Veronique.
When did it? How long was it?
It was from the 80s.
From the 80s, right?
It might be a little hard to find. I believe it's for rent on Amazon.
Right.
It's a fun one.
Come
A
on.
little warning.
Add to our list, Christy.
Yeah.
A little warning. There's a little nudity in it, but you should know it's there before you watch it.
Okay. Cool.
And I think I'd have to say I like The Fisher King with Robin Williams.
Oh,
that goes back a
yes.
ways. And it's so
Yes.
much about redemption and healing and joy. Yeah, in the face of great...
Yeah, both movies I need
Have
to
you
add
seen
to
that
my
one?
list. No.
Oh, that was a big
Oh,
one
it's-
back in the day.
yeah,
That's old. What
that's
is that?
very old.
80s? No, 90s. Early 90s?
That's not that old.
It could be 80s, couldn't
I
it?
think it's the 90s.
I think it's
Okay.
the 90s.
The
Sure.
90s.
Yeah.
That's
But I
not.
can remember I wanted to
Not
see
that
that
old,
film and I
guys.
never did.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Okay. All
It's
right.
wonderful.
I'm going to make a list.
Yeah.
I love it. If you could pursue another profession, what would it be?
Ah.
You can go for it.
I would say writing.
Come on.
I can see that.
Storytelling.
Yeah.
The same.
Same?
Yeah.
Come
Yeah,
on.
it's kind of what, similar to what you guys do
Well,
in
I
a
know
way.
Yeah.
Victor has written a film script. Maybe more, but I know you've definitely written one. That almost got produced into a feature film.
Yeah, one
It
was
was like
close.
this far away.
Yeah.
One was close, but God put a hold on it because I think
we
weren't ready.
It wasn't ready.
You see?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
BC days.
BC. But even then, he knew us and he pursued us, and
Yeah, of course.
it's becoming more and more evident in other works that we've done collectively and separately. How he's been there the whole journey.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what's amazing.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite sound?
Wow.
I do. Yeah, for me, it's a baby crying
Baby cry. Aww.
Crying.
or giggling. Any
Or
baby.
giggling.
Any
Baby.
Baby.
I love
Baby
babies.
Baby noises.
I love babies.
Aww.
I know it's something so precious.
I think I would have to say it's the sounds of the wind, and very specifically the wind in the reeds.
I love asking artists these questions. So I feel like I'm like, I could see it, I could hear it. That's wonderful. Finally, what are you most excited about this year coming up? Which we've obviously talked about the school, so that's a big one.
Wow.
But
Is it cheating to say the school?
no.
No.
It totally is. I just exciting is too small of a word. I mean,
Yeah.
we're literally bubbling.
Yeah.
We're in constant prayer about what the Lord wants to do, but even more so, loving the people now before they get here,
Yeah.
and just loving the people group, which is really wonderful to kind of love into you before you get here, and to have some fun and to kind of break open what we feel the Lord wants to have happen in the arts. To have any part of that is.
Yes.
We think about it and we cry a lot because it's such an honor. It's such an honor. And it's such an honor to be invited into such a beautiful ministry. And what Iris has done around the world has so affected us over the years and so changed our lives.
Yeah.
To be any piece of it is just a gift from the Lord. So we're bubbly. We're not excited. We're bubbly. We're giddy.
Effervescent.
Well, it's, I guess, it's all of that. And it's just a privilege of being able to participate, even in a small way, in the process of revelation for anybody, but specifically for artists of any genre to help open and bring revelation and to bring freedom, and just to have the honor and extraordinary privilege to be present for what the Lord's going to be doing. It's just like,
that's true.
oof, that's just like, wow.
Yeah.
That's like a banquet.
What he's doing, what the Lord is doing.
Yeah.
To actually just be there, to have a ticket.
Yeah, because we think we know what he's going to do, but
oh yeah, we got no idea really.
Yeah.
We're getting little foretastes.
Yeah.
So it's like,
yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
So good.
So calling all artists.
Yes. Come on.
Right around the globe. Doesn't matter where you are.
Yeah.
If you want to come, by faith.
It's true.
Go to the Iris Global website, go to the schools, go to ILAFAM and fill out an application.
Yeah.
Come on.
Shaka baba.
Thank you for listening to a little bit of these guys' story. I feel like there's so much
There's
more.
way more.
And we'll get to know you so much more during the school too. So
Yeah.
we're excited. And thank you to our listeners. You can subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. You
And
can subscribe
the YouTube channel.
to our YouTube channel.
That's great. As soon as we get 10,000 subscribers, we are going to be able to use the YouTube studios down in Culver City.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Cool.
So we'll be shooting podcasts.
Help us do that.
Fancy podcasts.
Yeah, you might not
Yeah.
hear as many lawnmowers in the background.
Yes.
And if you have comments or questions you'd like to hear us ask, leave them in the comment section under the Iris Global
Download
YouTube
the
channel.
app, Iris Global app. Don't forget
Yeah.
on your phones.
So many good things.
Yes.
Thank you guys, and until next time.
Love you guys. Bless
you.
you.
Bye.
This podcast is presented by Iris Global. For more information or to support the work of Iris Global, please visit us online at irisglobal.org.